Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're taking a deep dive into cc49.pdf. It's a really fascinating source called Talking About Jesus, and we're focusing on this specific idea, an unchanging God in an ever-changing world. So our mission really is to pull out the key insights about, well, constancy, immutability, especially when change feels like the only constant thing in life. What does it actually mean, to find something truly unchanging when everything else just seems to be shifting?
Right. And what's really compelling here is how the text just dives straight into that human feeling, that experience of volatility, of things always changing. And it sets that right against this profound theological claim. It's clearly trying to offer you some kind of, well, fundamental grounding.
Yeah, it starts strong. It presents God as immutable. That means unchanging in his character, his promises, his purposes. It even uses these metaphors, calling him the rock beneath your feet, the anchor of your soul. Why is that specific aspect, that constancy, so important in this text message?
Exactly. And, if you look at the bigger picture, it paints a world where seasons shift, nations rise and fall, relationships ebb and flow. Even our own feelings, our own hearts waver. So in that context, an unchanging foundation, that offers, well, profound comfort. The text actually quotes Malachi 3.6, I, the Lord, do not change. Therefore you, O children of Jacob, are not consumed. So
Yes.
it's not just saying God is static. It's about his active, unchanging faithfulness. And the source connects that directly to hope, to survival, offering a consistency that's just different from what we usually rely on.
That makes sense. A foundation that, like you said, just doesn't move. But okay, for someone listening, maybe grappling with really big personal changes, loss perhaps,
Yeah.
how does the source suggest you actually connect with that stability when everything feels so fundamentally unstable?
Well, it emphasizes that the consistency doesn't come from your strength, right? It comes from God's steadfastness. It highlights his covenant, his promises remaining unbroken, his words standing forever, his power, his hand, never weakening. So it's really about leaning into his unwavering nature, his character, rather than, trying to find stability inside your own changing circumstances.
Okay, building on that unchanging nature, the text then brings in his omnipresence, the idea that he's everywhere, all the time. How do those two attributes, unchanging and always present, how do they work together, according to this source?
It's presented as this incredible combination. The source really stresses that God is present everywhere. No place too distant, no valley too deep, no sorrow too dark. It even brings in Psalm 139 asking, where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? The clear implication is, well, you can't. There's nowhere you can be where he isn't already there.
So it paints this picture of God being, wow, closer than your breath, more present than your shadow. What does that practically mean for someone facing deep uncertainty? How does that help?
Well, this divine combination, God's unchanging nature plus his constant, inescapable presence, that's presented as your ultimate refuge. The text calls it a sure foundation. Even when things we rely on crumble, governments may tremble, economies may collapse, health may fail, plans may unravel. It's about realizing that even when your personal world feels like it's dissolving, this constant, unchanging presence is still there, an immovable anchor.
Okay, and here's where it gets, I think, really interesting and maybe quite personal for you listening. The source spends quite a bit of time on God's love and mercy. So, what does this unchanging, always present nature mean for how the source describes his love for us?
Yeah, that's a crucial question. What's the quality of this love? The text reassures you that his love and mercy endures forever and ever. It uses that beautiful phrase from Lamentations, new every morning. This isn't a love that depends on how well you're doing. It's not conditional on your performance or even, importantly, on your failures.
Right. It specifically says his love for you isn't based on performance, but on his unchanging grace. And it even goes so far as to say, he loved you when you were dead in sin, loves you now, and will love you in eternity. That's profound reassurance.
It absolutely is. And this leads straight to this powerful invitation in the text
Yeah.
to let your soul find peace in this glorious truth. It's an encouragement, really, to pray with confidence, to cling to this truth. When the world around you is chaotic, do not be moved. He's shown as your shepherd and your shield, your light and your salvation. It's an active call, you see. Trust in a love that doesn't change no matter what you do, no matter what happens around you.
Well, we've really unpacked, I think, the profound comfort this source is aiming for. It's all about finding that steady anchor in a world that just keeps changing.
Indeed. As the source wraps up, it quotes Psalm 136. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever. And then Hebrews 13.8, he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. It really leaves you with this question to ponder. How might recognizing such a consistent, unchanging presence actually shift your perspective on all the unpredictable changes in your own life? What changes for you when your foundation itself simply cannot be shaken?